Hi everybody, my name's Tim Goldsmith, and this is a new segment we're starting here at St Luke's called Signs of Grace. As I've been chatting around with people over Zoom and other mediums, the primary emotion that people have been feeling has been anxiety, but I've also found that a number of people have seen that God is at work in really interesting ways. And so one thing we're keen to do is to celebrate some of those things as a church family. And so with me today is Colin Glendinning. He's a GP, and as a GP you get a fairly unique perspective into things. Everybody has an opinion about how the pandemic is going, but you get the good info. So I thought maybe we could start, if you were keen, to share with us sort of how things are going on a really macro, a big picture level.
Thanks, Tim. Look, I feel very blessed to be part of a fantastic health system that we have in this country, where everybody can access good health. It's very different in many other parts of the world. I recently had contact with a bishop from Tanzania, and it's a very different story there. But I think we can feel very confident in our country's leaders and the health experts who advise them. And they're not perfect, but they're doing a fantastic job, and you can see that by the numbers of new cases of coronavirus. So I think they're leading us very well.
Thanks, Colin. Now, at a more local level, there are two things I want to ask you about. One is, how have things been for you at home? Have you seen signs of grace, the way God is working in your community near where you live? But the second thing I want to ask you about is one of the things that's happening here at St Luke's that some friends of yours are doing. If you maybe want to share a bit about those two things.
Well, just initially, so as we speak, there's a flu clinic, a drive-through flu clinic being operated just out in the church car park. A local GP that I know, her practice is in a high-rise building, so it's not safe to have people going up in the lift and going in and out. So they approached the church to see if they could use our car park, which isn't being used, as a drive-through clinic. And I've just spoken to her, and it's been going very well, and she's very grateful that we've given them the opportunity to do this. So that's quite a new development, a new opportunity. But also just locally, I'm sure like lots of people, we're spending a lot more time connecting with our neighbours. We've recently received some nice pumpkin from the lady across the road. And so there's, I think, quite a few exchanges like that going on. And the other thing I've just heard of some of my elderly patients who have had acts of kindness shown towards them. People across the road who he didn't really know, they're always at work, came over and approached him and asked if they could do the shopping for him and just generally look out for him. And he just felt very grateful, very blessed for this sort of thing to happen. I guess the other opportunity just locally is to be able to explore our backyard. We all have more time to exercise, and so Jocelyn and I have been into the National Park more, down walking along towards Boat Harbour more. So it's been a great opportunity just to explore the beautiful environment that we live in. We're very blessed to have a wonderful backyard.
Yeah, it's been encouraging for me to chat to people and to hear about the fact that there are more Christian conversations happening with neighbours. Similar to you, I think I've been chatting to some of the neighbours that I haven't really known before. I even have one lovely gentleman who asks me each week, how did your church service go? How is this whole internet online thing going? And all of a sudden it's a conversation topic I never imagined having beforehand. My last question for you is just for you and your wife Jocelyn, how has it been for your Christian walk at a personal level? How has God been showing you signs of grace in the midst of this time?
Certainly in our Zoom Bible studies, I think there's a greater desire to have fellowship and to get to know each other more, where I think everybody's feeling a bit more vulnerable. And so we're certainly getting to know each other more, and appreciating that fellowship as we're in our relative isolation. The other thing that's been interesting is in the 5 o'clock Zoom meetings where we have our breakout times, and suddenly you find yourself in a room with people who have been in your church meeting, but you just haven't actually spoken to them or even maybe seen them. So suddenly you're there and you're introducing yourself and getting to know them, and so that's been a great opportunity. As Tim said, just with the Zoom services, I've certainly had people who have, in the one household, people who are maybe not Christians, but the other member may be, and they've been listening into to the services. And even someone in our Bible study group has been helping one of our members study the passage and come up with various comments and insights. So that's been quite a blessing. I guess there's also been extra time for reading and lectures. So Joss and I recently heard a really good series from Zondervan masterclasses on Daniel, and that was great when we were doing the studies on Daniel, just to get another level of understanding. So that's been good. And we look forward to doing some lectures on Romans when we start that series. And then also just extra time reading. I've been reading a book about the history of the Bible in Australia, which is just a fascinating and very encouraging history of how the Bible has had an impact, influenced Australian society. So, yeah.
Thanks, Colin. It's really encouraging for me to hear things like that, because it reminds me that at a time where we have some of our freedoms restricted, that really does open up new opportunities. And to think that there are people who are maybe opening up the Bible for the first time with a family member, or maybe they're tuning into a service. This really is a great opportunity if you don't know Jesus personally and you want to know more about the gospel, to be able to dip in to our church service with us and to be able to visit other services online. So it's really great to hear that God is showing signs of great grace in the midst of all of this. And I'm encouraged. Thank you for coming in and keeping a safe distance. It wasn't intentional, but thank you also for mirroring my clothes so we can have a nice symmetrical shot. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about what God is doing, not only in your life, but also in the lives of us as a church and also other people watching on. So we look forward to more signs of grace coming soon. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Cool.
I was going to say at the